Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode in the Conversations with Shelly series. Now, on this particular episode, I will be giving you week 13 update as well as to give you weeks 1 to 12, which would have been a total of 3 months on GLP-1 slash GIP medication. I will give you just a general overview of what has happened within the last 12 weeks, and I will take you into the beginning of week 13, which would have commenced as of today. So, for those of you who are joining me for the very first time on this journey, I am Shelly, and I am very, very grateful and very happy that you took the time to stop by to see what we are doing over here. Thank you again. Always a pleasure to have you. And for those of you who have always been here, whenever something drops, whenever there is some alert or something to indicate and let you know that you need to run on over, thank you again and welcome back. So, I would have, guys, I'm still under the weather. Um, so I would have been looking at review of my GLP-1 experience and my GLP-1 journey over the last 3 months, which is what I would have considered to be weeks 1 through 12, right? So I want to just give you some context and to put some, you know, color to what it is that started this whole journey for me and why I thought it, I wouldn't say best to, make a journal, a video journal of what this experience has been for me. But let's just jump right into it. So 3 months ago, I started a GLP-1 journey. And particularly so today, I will be giving you my real honest um, review and knowledge about the medication that I initially started with being Mounjaro, and my transition into compound Tirzepatide through Mochi Health. I'm not gonna. There will be no hype, guys. There will be no hype. I'm not hyping anybody. I'm not hyping the whole process. I'm just gonna give you my real, honest opinion and just state the facts. So, for those of you who are not very familiar with what GLP-1s are, GLP-1s, they are medications in general that have been on the market for some time. And they actually became prolific with the advent of Ozempic. Um, and a lot of the buzz that started where Ozempic was concerned had to do with the idea and the notion that a lot of persons who wanted to lose weight were taking a drug that was designed for diabetics, right? So there was a shortage of the drug for persons living with diabetes. So the industry leaders, the industry players, the Nova Nordics and the Eli Lilly heard the cries, listened to what was happening, and responded to the feedback and the shortage. And what they did was essentially created two versions of the drug in the form of a semaglutide and also in the form of a trizepatide. Now, the semaglutide was manufactured by Nova Nordic in the form of Ozempic and Wegovy. Ozempic being for diabetics and Wegovy being for persons who um, had the condition of obesity. And then, of course, Eli Lilly went up a notch and decided that they were going to give the GLP-1 space a splash, and they introduced a dual receptor agonist, and this came in the form of the trizepatide being the main ingredients now found in Mounjaro and Zepbound respectively, where Mounjaro was being used to treat the diabetic state and Zepbound for the obesity conditions. Now, both of these conditions have been deemed by science and the medical community as chronic and progressive disease. And the truth about it is that one actually follows the other. That's typically how it goes. Again, let me just put this out there. I'm not a medical doctor, but of course, I have learned quite a lot in my journey of being not only a diabetic, but also at some point in my journey, also considered to be obese based on the obesity BMI standard of 30 and over, right? So, if I were to summarize for you what a GLP-1 medicine, GLP-1 slash GIP medicine was, these medications are basically blood sugar regulators. What they essentially do is that they reduce your appetite and hence the impact on you losing weight, and it also helping to address the issue of obesity. Now you may be asking yourself, then why did these industry leaders had to make two different drugs? Mainly because of insurance reasons. Because a lot of insurance companies were not yet on board, and many still aren't, in prescribing or giving the insurance coverage for a drug that is designed for losing weight. So what Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk did was separated the two medications so that for persons who needed insurance coverage for their diabetic condition, then it could have been given for the purpose of Mounjaro. And for those, and Ozempic, semaglutide, Tirzepatide, right? And for those who just wanted a drug to lose weight, then they had to pay out of pocket. And essentially, that's why the difference arises. However, it is important to note that both of these drugs, the active ingredients is either semaglutide or Tirzepatide. Semaglutide in Ozempic and Wegovy, Novo Nordisk, and Mounjaro, Zepbound, Eli Lilly, right? One receptor agonist, dual receptor agonist, okay? So in each of these circumstances, they regulate your blood sugar, and as a result of regulating your blood sugar, they reduce your appetite and then assist you by improving your insulin sensitivity, which naturally, as I said, you'll see the benefits of weight loss in that process. So the essence of it is that once your blood sugar and your appetite is reduced and your appetite is being controlled, and they go through these monitoring situations, then you can just rest assured that once you start to take the drug, there are going to be instances where persons have mentioned that they have um, experienced side effects, and we've spoken about the side effects of these drugs like any other drug. That will happen. I experienced them as well, and I so aptly explained to you how I decided to deal with them. But what has been my experience month on month for the last 12 weeks? So, in month one, as I mentioned, I went on Mounjaro, and I did Mounjaro for the first 4 weeks at the lowest dose of 2.5 milligram, which is what they call the entry level dose. And the reason why my medical doctor decided to start me off on this starter dose is because of the side effects. And the idea behind it is that you don't really know how this drug will impact you, whether it will impact you adversely. So to start at a lower dose will allow for your body to know how it will respond to the medication, if at all, or if you just need to, after month 4, because there was no real impact on you side effect wise, then you can go up and titrate to another dose, right? So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the clinical trials that have both been done by the industry leaders actually state that persons who are going on these GLP-1 slash GIP-1s should start at the lowest dose, right? So I started at the lowest dose, and in month 1, which was on the 18th of August 2025, immediately I noted appetite shifts. And guys, I'm not telling you that my appetite shifted 5 hours later or a day later. Immediately. Once the injection went into my arm, I immediately felt like my hunger was suppressed. I don't know. To this very day, guys, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the science of how my brain and my gut connected so immediately to the drug, and realizing that my appetite was now severely suppressed. I literally felt it immediately, right? On the first week of the drug, I tell you, appetite suppression through the roof, loved it, didn't want food, didn't want anything. I had to remind myself to eat. And that was when I know that this drug is a powerful drug that I couldn't keep to myself. And sometimes a lot of the persons in this community, they tend to shy away from explaining to persons that they are taking the drug. But let me tell you something. I did not take this drug for the purpose of losing weight. I absolutely didn't. I took this drug because, yeah, and I don't want to tear up right now, but I took this drug because sometime prior, I lost my vision. Yes, guys. I lost my vision and I absolutely could not see my son. Yeah? Couldn't see my kids, couldn't see my family, couldn't see my nieces, my nephews. I could not see. Immediately, I was concerned. Didn't know I was a diabetic, and that scared me through the roof. I fell to the floor. I fell to the floor in complete and utter panic. Like, I literally lost my sight in less than an hour. Imagine yourself waking up, your eyes feel a little bit fuzzy, and you're telling yourself, oh, I'm going to wash my face and I'm going to wake up. My eyes are going to wake up and I'm going to see my world. I wash the face, I blink twice, I look around, I throw some solution in my eyes, and my eyes were just getting worse and worse each time I ate. I didn't know I was diabetic. So I got up, I felt a little weird. I was having fuzzy sight. But then I had my tea, it got worse because, of course, sugar was in the tea. Then I had a muffin, and it got, and I, with each thing I ate and my blood sugar level climbed, there goes the vision. Fell to the floor in complete and utter panic. Guys, I don't want to relive the moment, but just understand that this was not done because of some vain reason. This was done because of some serious medical situation that was going on. Fast forward, went on GLP-1. Of course, I was on metformin for a while. Because, of course, as I told you, the industry, the Hollywood industry took this drug as a weight loss thing. And for persons who really wanted it for diabetic control, didn't have any. So I was stuck with metformin for quite some time. And the shortage was released and then compound. I'll get into all of that, guys. Bear with me. A building, right? So month one, didn't experience any side effects actually. In week one, didn't experience any in week two. About week three, I realized that um I was very tired. Like, I couldn't keep my eyes open. Tired would that kill me. It's like, picture being pregnant, if you can. Or if you know anybody that spoke about being pregnant. Where them just sitting down and them just gone. I was sitting, driving, and the tired was just on my body. And I knew that the medication was now seeped into my vein and my body was acclimatizing to it because this was not something that was normal for me. This was out of the ordinary for me. I didn't experience any nausea. I didn't experience any diarrhea, but I did experience a small bouts of constipation. Now, guys, we are friends now. Hey, it is what it is. We are friends now. But I was not alarmed by that either because I was never one that went easy anyway. Maybe too. I think that's probably a little bit TMI, eh? Alright, scrap that. But you get the point. So those were initially my month one side effects. I also started to notice that um my hunger levels started to stabilize. My hunger was under control. I was eating absolutely only when I was feeling the real hunger pangs, not the frivolous hunger pangs like when you just want something nice to eat or you just want to taste something or something looks interesting to put in your mouth or you had those cravings or what they call food noise. In month 2 or close to month 2, I was stable where my hunger control was. I knew exactly when to eat. My gut and my brain was in sync. Month 2, which was week 5, I observed that it was a little bit um sporadic. There were moments when I wasn't feeling the appetite suppression as I felt it in week 1 to to to, to 4. And I had a conversation with my doctor and I said, "Hey doc, maybe it's time for me to titrate up to the 5 milligram." And he said, "Sure," because that is how the medication is supposed to, be administered. You start off with a lower dose, 4 weeks, and then you titrate into week 5 on a 5 milligram. So he titrated me up, still on Mounjaro, which is the branded version from Eli Lilly. Me telling about the cost, me did tell you, I may never repeat it again. It did there. It did expensive bad. It's still expensive, but a girl did what she got to do. Did expensive. So in month 5, I felt the new dose again, and I felt renewed because now I was back on track. The appetite was being suppressed. I was going through my days again, not knowing what hunger felt like, not even considering food. I had to remind myself to eat. I had to remind myself to, get something warm. But what I recall making sure that I did was I always had my tumbler with water. And the reason why I recall that is because I know that when you do go through weight loss in this drastic a way, you lose muscle mass. And nobody wants to lose muscle mass because you want to be able to hold your body up as long as you can. And you don't want to be walking and falling down. So I know that one of the ways to maintain muscle mass is hydration and protein. So while I may have forgotten to eat, I always maintain my hydration and I always maintain some amount of protein intake, to ensure that I was maintaining my muscle mass. So I was able in month 2 to properly go through my portion awareness. I was in a position to better control my portions. And by this month, maybe month 2, but about week 6 or 7, new side effects, guys. I said to myself, okay, I didn't experience the ones that are typical, which is the nausea, the upset stomach, the gassy burps, the I experienced the fatigue. But here comes month 2, week 6, slight change in my hair. My hair started to fall out. Not anything great. So I started to do my research. I started to say, wait a minute, Mounjaro cause weight loss. Mounjaro cause hair loss. And the research has shown that it's not Mounjaro. It's not a GLP-1 that causes hair loss. It's any weight regime that you go through. Your body naturally loses hair because you're losing weight at this rapid stage. And I recall when I also did a prior weight loss program, I also had thinning hair. So of course, we went and we addressed that. We got some medication for hair loss and hair restoration, and we started to use it. Now, one of the things I learned throughout this 3 months journey is that all of the side effects, bar none, you have a means of addressing them, whether it be constipation. We all know how we address constipation from we have our babies. We know how we deal with constipation. Vomiting, we know how to deal with vomiting. We all know how to deal with nausea. We get stuff when we are traveling for nausea. Fatigue, we know what to take. We take our B12s to get energy and all these things. So the side effect was manageable because there were things that we know, home remedies and over-the-counter stuff that we would have been able to use, or certainly I would have been able to use to address these things. So I wasn't too concerned about the side effects that I mentioned. I saw in month 2, maybe say week 7 and 8, a change in my skin. Like I wouldn't say I had a really bad skin, but I don't know what is within this medication that all, or to be honest, I know diabetes gives you bad skin. It gives you a very darkened you, and it also gives you a very coarse texture. And I think, and you get a lot of skin tags, because I had to burn off skin tags. And I know that that was some of the things that I experienced being a diabetic. So in month in month two, maybe week 6, 7, I noticed that my skin, my texture of my skin, all of that was changing. Of course, any changes that I observe, and the week that I observe it, I journal it into my Tirzepatide journal. And of course, I had a conversation with my doctor, and he said, yes, changing your diet, the mere fact that you're drinking more water and less sugary drink, will naturally see you have a more um, refreshed look. Then added to that, your diabetes, your sugar levels are being controlled. So that part of your body that was, I'm going to use the word poisoned by the high sugar levels, that is now being under control, because you are no longer putting so much sugar into your body, and your insulin is now being able to regulate the amount of sugar that your body is intaking. So right there, it all made sense to me, with this change in how my skin was and how my complexion was, and also how my texture of my skin was, because I could even recall how makeup now started to sit and seep within my skin. Like foundation always look cakey, and almost I'd have to buy like the really expensive brands, and me have a problem with money. Me have a problem with money. Yeah, money and me. Yeah. So I would not necessarily go and buy the Fenty and the L'Oreal and the this and the that. A normal LA girl will work for me, and I'm good to go. But let me tell you something. You see, when this triceptide start go through my bloodstream, and me start see the skin and everything start change, LA girl was like butter to a warm knife on my skin. And before, it was, say no more, say less. You get the point. So, of course, the side effects were not the same. They dwindled down, but I had what I call new side effects, right? And I dabbled through them. I figured it out. I learned what was happening, and I just moved right along. Okay? Let us talk about week month 3, which would have now been um right about week 9 through to 12, right? So at this point in time, I'm still on the 5 milligram, because I have not decided to titrate up to this point in time. So between week 9 and 12, consistency in energy and appetite was on par. I stuck to what I know helped. I had my protein, I had my water, I had my fiber. I started to increase my shakes, and I started to have a clearer sense of what works for me now. You know, somewhere about week 10. And this is where the consciousness comes in and the clarity comes in for me, because regardless of how much you may think that you have budgeted for something like this, because remember, insurance companies are not necessarily taking this on. More so in, it is just not yet. The insurance companies are just not yet there. Some not yet there. So for me, when the expense of it started to hit home, because by now, she fork out some pretty change, some real money. Guys, may I tell you, me I fork out some real money for this thing. And I started to do the numbers, and I said, no, no, man. Then I hold this going to happen if me continue this for a year. And guys, this was some real conversation I was having with myself. Yeah? I said, no way this can sustain itself. Right? And I started to look into compound Tirzepatide, which is the um they would call it the generic version of the drug. Now, because it is not the drug in its true form, with the Tirzepatide being the main ingredients, the telehealth pharmacies that are there to compound these things, and the telehealth pharmacies that actually compounded them when there was a shortage from the industry leaders, they now had to adjust their model because the industry leaders came out and said there's no more shortage, so we need to stop compound. And these compounding pharmacies who assisted the space when the shortage was happening decided, no, we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure out how to maintain a compounded version and still service a large sector of the market, a large sector of the obesity and diabetic community that need these drugs but can't afford it. So, through legal regulatory things and lawsuits and litigations, the component pharmacies decided that they're going to change the formulation of the medication in order not to come against litigations and those kind of lawsuits that surround the trade patterns and all of these things. So what the main crux of it was that the compounding pharmacies started to add things to the main ingredients, Tirzepatide, in order to change the formulation so that they could still be able to distribute to persons like myself and others within the community. And for me, my version of the medication under the compounded formulation was compounded with B3. Now, other persons through their provider and through having their consultation with their medical doctor from the compounding pharmacies would have gone through that process where they explain to the doctor what it is that they would have liked to achieve outside of controlling their diabetes and their obesity. And those things were now added to the main ingredients to formulate something and customize something for them, as was done for me. So for me, B3 was added to my Tirzepatide in my compounded version from Mochi Health, right? So with all this clarity that I download, because of course you're in the space, you have to start to do your research. So I started to think to myself, there's just no way I can maintain this at this cost. I have to find a way to, if not break from the genuine version for now and take it up at some other point in time, but certain to find a way to build back the budget for this, because guys, this something require a budget. Yeah, it require a budget, a line item to itself. You know, like when you have your light bill and your water bill and your heater bill and your grocery bill and you go back to work money. This medication outside of help one is need to have a line item to itself where you pay from your salary monthly. Yeah, that's so it go. Yeah, guys, I'm looking on. I have my notes. Right. So it was a line item on my monthly bill, and I thought to myself, the only way that I can potentially maintain this is if I take a break, build back the budget for it, and then potentially go back to the genuine version. Because let me tell you something, I don't mind taking things generic, but I was so confident in the genuine version. Not that, guys, not that I'm not confident in the component version. Let me just make that very clear. It's not that I'm not confident in it because I've been on it now for 10, 11, 12, 4 weeks, right? It's not that I'm not confident, but there's something about me that I like to know that I am with something that I understand. Not that, and again, it's not that I don't understand the component version, but I like the fact that I know the science behind Tirzepatide fully. Because the thing about when you compound things, you don't know how molecules mix. Yeah? I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I did some chemistry and some biology. Yeah? So when molecules mix, you don't know what the interaction between the molecules will be. You don't know if it weakens the strength of the thing or if it actually amplifies the strength of whatever it is that is supposed to be at its foundation ingredient. So while I appreciated the component version for what it has done for me in terms of my pocket, I still would have preferred to maintain the genuine version of Mounjaro. But I tell you, I have seen no difference between the two in terms of the management of my blood sugar and the weight loss. But in my mind, the mixing of chemicals always to me requires some change in molecular structure. And because in my mind, I'm thinking that something has changed in the structure of the molecules, I don't know what is strengthened or what is weakened by this compound. That's just my thought. But ask me, it two of them do the same thing. Me lose the same weight. As a matter of fact, me going to tell you the truth. Me lose more weight in a 1 week on the compounded version than the genuine version. Check that. So I would have gone into week 9, 10, sorry, 10, 11, and 12 on the component trizepatide. Now, there was consistency in Mounjaro, I just explained. And Mounjaro to me felt very predictable. I knew what it was made up of. The compounded version, depending, as I said, on the pharmacy and the compounding pharmacy, you don't know what the provider would tell you works best for you. So whether they were adding B3, B12, B6, um, whatever the compounded version of it was, it it wasn't as predictable as you would want if it was in the genuine form, right? Side effect wise, side effects didn't change um immediately. It didn't change immediately, but by week 10, and you will see me keep doing this, is because in a lot of the instance, once I hold my head down, I have water driplets from my nose, which I know to be a side effect. So I have the water droplets in week 10 and 11, and I also suffered from insomnia, severe insomnia. I am now sleeping more, maybe 3 hours per day. Now, is that a good thing? Absolutely not, because you need your sleep. But one of the things I can tell you about my experience with week 10, 11, and 12, with the insomnia and the water, the nose dripping, is that more so the insomnia is that you don't feel like you didn't get sleep the day after, and that is the weirdness and the irony of it all. I will get 3 4 hours of sleep per night, but the next morning you couldn't tell that I didn't get 8 hours. So I don't know if it's just the insomnia, the tossing up and down. I don't know if that has to do with where I am in the age cycle. You know, my calendar, my age come off a calendar. Me in another weird phase there. So we talk about that. I don't know if that is it, but I registered it in week 10 and 11. Um, so I would have gone through 3 months of different side effects. No, guys, I'm not gonna tell you about my belief in side effects versus complications. There's a video for that, right? Um, but overall, at the end of week 12, which was yesterday, because I took my week 12 shot last week, Saturday, and today is the 29th of November 2025, and I took my shot this morning. At the end of week 12, which would have marked my full 3 months as of yesterday, what I can say is that if I could go back to the branded version, I would. Simply because it's more predictable, not because the experience has been any different. It's the same experience. But as I say, I like to know what is in the molecular structure of what I am taking into my body. And that's the only reason why I would probably go back. In terms of the consideration to compound and the cost barrier, I would certainly maintain the compounded version for the affordability of it. Um, and I have now found a couple reputable licensed pharmacies and some competent um, providers that have walked me through with their medical professional advice as to how to go about, you know, having these additives to the component versions. Um, so that really has been my 12 weeks on the compounded version. But let me talk about today. So today I took my week 13 jab, and today was no different, no side effects outside of what I've already mentioned. And I'm now going into week 13, and we'll start week 14 next week, Saturday, and I'll bring you week 13 update if anything has changed. I am now down on my second vial of my compound Tirzepatide, and looking into potentially reordering my medication for the next 3 months. We'll see how that goes. Um, I was hoping to get some Black Friday deal. I think I caught a Black Friday deal with one of the telehealth pharmacies, and I actually have a doctor's appointment tomorrow to walk me through my my medication for the next phase, for the next phase. So I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow um, to do that, and I'm looking forward. So in closing, what is my honest verdict on my first 3 months? GLP-1 slash GIP, I've come to realize that it's not a magic pill. It's not a magic pill. It's a tool like any other tool that you get to assist you in performing some job, some task, or function. And this tool has assisted me in performing a lot of the functions that my body otherwise could not have done on its own. And I'm very thankful and very grateful for it. So it's my mind has now been comforted with the fact that it's not a magic pill, it's not a magic jab, it's not a magic injection. It is a tool. And it's not the easy way out, as many people will tell you, or many people will say. This has been one of the hardest things I've ever had to do because the side effects alone, they are in and of themselves manageable, but they are very traumatic. And I did not even go through all of them, as I know some persons have in the community. I've watched YouTube videos of persons who have gone through every single side effect imaginable. So this is absolutely not the easy way out. And I'm the first one to tell you, I would be the first one to tell you if it was the easy way out. I promise you I would be, but it's not. What changed my results wasn't just the medication. It was being aware, being consistent, being patient, and being realistic about what the expectations could be. Because the truth is, I could have been a slow responder, I could have been an average to medium responder, but I've been able to manage this reasonably well within the spectrum of responders that exist out there. And between when I started at my start weight, which I mentioned at 215, for me to be here uh, 13 weeks later at 170 pounds is awesome. It's absolutely remarkable. Am I concerned about future risk? Certainly. I would be lying if I tell you that I'm not. But I also took the COVID vaccine and I was concerned then about the risk as well. But we all, as the world would have seen in 2019, we did what we had to do because persons were just dropping like flies and we didn't understand it. And I looked at COVID vaccine and GLP-1 as the same thing for me. Because if I didn't take the COVID vaccine, I probably would have suffered from my comorbidity. I may have, I had a issue. So I had no choice as far as I was concerned, but to take the COVID shot. And likewise, I don't think anything has changed for me. No. For me, I think with my diabetic status, I don't think I have a choice. I had to take the option that was available and the one that best suit my reality. And I will extend and recommend that for those of you who are considering this route to do the same. Have the conversations with your medical doctor. Do your own research because nobody can know how you will react to it unless you know what the questions are that you need to ask and you ask the right questions. And that is what I did for myself. I did not go into this like a blank slate. I had all my questions already. I tell you something, I think my doctor thinks I even know more about it than he does. And that may just be how I approach things in my life. I try to know as much as I can so that I am armed with enough information to make the right decision or to make an informed decision. So that, guys, have been my 3 months update on my GLP-1 slash GIP Mounjaro to compound Tirzepatide journey journal, and I will continue this on until I am at a A1C that I'm comfortable with, and also at a BMI that I'm comfortable with, and also at a reasonable weight that I'm comfortable with. I don't know what those numbers will be, so I can't say them here. But whatever it is that will make me have a healthy, long life, as healthy as possible, that's what I am aiming for. So thank you again, guys. Thank you for sticking and staying. Hopefully this helped for those of you who are considering and wanting to know what at least 3 months looks like from the point of view of somebody who has gone through it. Here is your, window into what that could potentially look like for you. And as always, do your research, ask your questions, and go on as many YouTube channels, as many of them you can, to find out exactly how the persons have dealt with it. And as always, if you found this to be interesting and you find it helpful and you find it something that you can sit with and it resonates with you, consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Love the comment, guys. And as always, thank you for being here, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.